Give yourself a round of applause. How awesome is that? I could watch that video over and over and over again because it captures why we're here, which is to celebrate your success. And as I said before, 2023 was a year filled with success. We could turn that video into a 100-minute long one because you've done a great job. You are the giant. And as we get into today, the next step for us is how do we take giant steps higher? And it's really important that we embrace this concept of going farther, because the simple reality is the competitors that you face, the consumer giants, the legacy giants who do not care about your communities, they're still coming. When they look at your communities, this is what they see. They look over top of it and they see prey. They see an opportunity to go in and suck the life out of your communities, to take the money, take the data. They don't care. No one in these homes means anything to them. They're nothing but a number. They're nothing but a dollar sign. That's it. And they have a really clear playbook. And one of the advantages of us communicating so frequently is that you keep telling us what's going on in your markets. We collaborate around what they're doing. And they have a real clear playbook. There's 5 parts to it. The first is access to capital. Over the last 20, 30 years, that was an advantage that they have. You have pushed that aside, but they had the access to public markets, big investors, all those folks to fill their coffers with money to go and do things that you couldn't do. And as we go into this next stage of the market, they're doing something else. They're actually looking at what's going on in your markets. They're lining up their lawyers, they're lining up their lobbyists, and they never cared about that community before, but then all of the government's throwing out a little bit of money, and they're saying, oh, all of a sudden I care. I care. They don't. They're going into your communities. Why? For one reason: profit. They're not going to be there 20 years from now. They're not going to be there 30 years from now unless someone pays them. That's it. And by the way, those lawyers are lining them up to go farther. Look at this. This isn't just one story. I'm sure all of you know about it, where they derail a promising broadband project. Why? Because they didn't want to compete. Because they know if you show up, you'll crush them. Because when you have an NPS of 91 and one of those legacy giants has a negative NPS, what happens? You crush them. And so they're scared. They're going to come into your markets. And they use this playbook. The second thing they do is they build technologies that are custom. They had to scale to have thousands of developers. And we've talked about this. If you look at what Xfinity is from a video point of view, it was a great solution when video mattered. Great. They spent years building it. But video doesn't matter anymore. So now what they're saying is, how do I take this massive scale, these armies of developers, and what am I going to do? They're trying to figure out what to do next in their playbook. And they've got these partners. They're grabbing all these partners and they're trying to say, don't work with these guys, just work with us. They're trying to have that privileged access to partners and block people out. And to be clear, they're going to keep attacking. They're going to keep trying to innovate. Now here's the problem. If you are a giant and you are innovating, your view is like this. It's a tunnel. I go back to the philosophy that Carl shared with me 7 years ago. When I first started the company, he said, no, that's a path to death. Why? Because you only have your viewpoint. And that viewpoint obviously gets polluted with hubris. But if you understand everybody's viewpoints and you take that feedback, you can do great things. And we see this in one of their recent product announcements. Comcast threw this out. I don't know if you've read this. It came out in August. Storm-ready Wi-Fi from Xfinity. Well, the big innovation there is this battery backup. You guys have been doing that for what? 20 years? I guess you couldn't make a 911 call before, eh? So you've been doing battery backup for 20 years. And in fact, if you look across all the Gigaspires except for one, the tiny one, they all have battery backup. Is that innovation? Not really. It's good marketing, though. It's not innovation. And then what they did was they threw LTE in it. Wrong decision. We actually talked about that. Putting LTE into the system, we believe that's the wrong thing to do. But they're going to keep trying to innovate. They'll use their marketing. They're going to use this massive access to capital they have to flood their markets with programs. But the biggest thing that they do from a playbook point of view that you need to understand is that they build a broad business. They go to all the segments of the community. They're not just residential. They're small business, medium business. They sell to education. They do state, local government. They're across the community. They want to suck the life out of every part of the towns they serve. And so you have to be wary that if you're in a market and you're just residential, you're at risk. You need to go across all the areas of the business because that's how they're going to attack your community, and you want to leave no holes. And the fifth segment is they're going to use price. They're going to use price and speed. They're going to come at you cheap, cheap, cheap. Look at that. $800 to become a small business customer. That's low. And so they're going to attack with this playbook. The good thing is we all understand it. We see them coming. We've been working at this for 24 years together, and the power of a platform, if you've ever read The Innovator's Dilemma or anything about how platforms disrupt a market, it's always small companies going up and disrupting the big ones. Because the bigger they are, the harder they fall. Oh, next slide. Sorry. I forgot one more. See, we all forget them. And that's the one we shouldn't be smiling about. That's Amazon. And in this group, how do we think about Amazon? We actually think of Amazon as Eero, who was a decent Wi-Fi company before they got bought by Amazon. And we look at what they're doing, and the biggest challenge is that it's not Eero, it's Amazon. So every single time that you have an interaction with that subscriber, all the good things that happen is they look at that mobile device and they see the Eero brand. That's what they see. They see the Eero brand. They don't see your brand. And what happens if you have Eero on your fiber, on your network? Every time there's a bad experience, you get blamed. What does that mean? That means you get all the negatives and none of the positives. But in the end, you really can't think about this. This is just tiny stuff. What you really need to think about is who this company is. They're really good, and they're really giant. So Amazon Prime, look, I'm a huge Amazon customer. I buy tons of stuff. Who doesn't, right? They understand everything about me, and they have a direct relationship with me every single day. With Amazon Ring, that's a great product to secure your home, but more importantly, with Amazon Sidewalk, it has a LoRa network in it, so they can actually provide ubiquitous IoT across a town. And if you're looking at launching an MVNO, read the fine print there real carefully. Amazon in talks to offer low-cost or free mobile services to Prime customers. Oh, yes. And they launched satellites to do direct broadband. What is this? Well, if this is in the home, there's a dumb WAN connection behind it. Pretty easy to unplug it because that subscriber only cares about one thing, that direct relationship with Amazon. And so, how do you go up against these folks? Back to my initial statement, the value of an innovation. What the Innovator's Dilemma has taught us is that small companies are the ones who disrupt markets. You have an opportunity. You have an opportunity to apply a radically different playbook to how you run your business, and it has to be about the entire community. It has to be about consumers, small, medium business. It has to be about how you embrace parents, the PTA, the educational institution. It has to be about first responders and what you're doing with the mayor to provide ubiquitous Wi-Fi across that town. You have to think about how I'm going to grow the entire community. And that is the power of a platform. You don't have to bring together a whole bunch of technologies. That's our job. You tell us what you need. We will do it, and release after release after release, we will allow you to expand your business across your community. And in our playbook that we've developed together, the Grow Your Community playbook, because again, grow your community is what you tell us every single day, is fundamental to your business strategy. Starts with funding. Look, from a capital point of view, family funds, private equity, organizations like cooperatives who have great cash flow and access to debt, you have made massive investments in our industry. There is no advantage that they have anymore. You have demonstrated over and over again. And here's a couple great examples. You've got Allo, who we were fortunate enough to be a partner with their team around launching a green bond. And that green bond was all about sustainability. Because if you have our network with a consolidated capability where you're collapsing things like the BNG into that network, you're 75% more energy efficient. So there's a great opportunity for you to do it. And if you talk to Brad, I encourage you to. He would be glad to share how you can do it too. And then on stage, we're going to have Tom Bigby Fiber. When they started their broadband company, you know what they were told by the consultants? You can cobble together a bunch of dumb PON and cheap Wi-Fi and a whole bunch of things like that, and your path to cash flow positive is 7 years. I had another customer yesterday tell me that when the consultants were in there talking about starting his broadband company, they said 12 years. Why? Because it was really hard. And what Tom Bigby did is they went end-to-end with Calix. 2 years free cash flow positive, which is unheard of. 3 years kicking off $1 million in profit every month. Any investor out there, you say what you can do in this marketplace, is going to fall over themselves to invest in that type of business. Because that's incredibly powerful. And that's the power of a platform. That's what Carl envisioned over this time. And look, we talked about the funding. There's a lot of state and federal funding, and we're proud to say we are participating with you. We're helping you win 450 funding consults. In fact, if you were here yesterday, there was a whole investor track. And in this crowd are a lot of investors. They would love to participate with you in your business, helping you win, helping you get the money that you need to succeed. So at the state and federal funding, as it continues to flow, you're front and center. And you can guarantee Calix is going to be beside you step by step. If you need help on a submission, if you need help on your work that you're doing, we're going to be right beside you. That's what we're doing, partnering every single day. And you can win. The second part of the playbook comes down to what you do every single day. The successes that you've seen on this slide is out of the fact that you've launched our platform. This broadband platform, again, if you've read about innovation, if you've read about market disruptions, it's when you harness all this innovation with us and then we disrupt the big guys. They cannot move as fast as we are together. So we harness that broadband innovation and we go after them. And from a partnership point of view, the more and more partners that we bring into that platform, the easier and easier it gets for us to connect our clouds, drive workflows, and make it so you don't have to have armies of people doing those integrations. Instead, it just works out of the box. We have roadmaps with GLDS, Innovative, NISC, so that we can actually make it really easy for you to work together. We're starting to do joint innovation, which is a great thing. And that's going to be good for us all. And then you see how we're harnessing MailChimp, HubSpot, Facebook, Arlo, Bark. There's a huge opportunity for us to continue to expand those partnerships so that you can win with one big goal, which is helping you be everything to your communities. You need to be everything to everyone. You need to handle the residential, be great with kids, help those parents, be in the PTA, be in the school board, be in the mayor's office. Many of you are already doing that, but there's no reason why we can't do this faster and better and at a bigger scale because of your views on the market and how you teach us to innovate. And we'll continue to do that. And the last part is go-to-market strategy. And this is where they're going to come at you with what they're best at, speed and price. When you have a massive P&L, price is easy. I can actually decide I'm going to go prey on a market and drop the price like crazy because I'm going to fund it from other markets. That's actually how it works. They have this huge opportunity to use price. You have to work differently, and many of you are. You have to have a go-to-market strategy that goes way beyond speed. It has to be all about that experience. And let's face it, you already have that capability. Who else has an NPS that's north of 70, 75, 80, 91? You're doing this every single day. It's just got to be every part of your strategy. And let's be clear, speed is important, but it's just a start. Now, I've been called a heretic with this statement, but I'm going to say it, keep saying it because it's true. Speed is a start. And a 10 gig investment is good, but the only reason why 10 gig isn't a good investment is because you're going to put it in place and you're not going to touch it for 20 years. Because that's a boatload of capacity, which is great. And if you're the first broadband provider in there or you've got a slow competitor who's really bad, you can use speed as a short-term strategy to win. But it is not a long-term strategy that will win. It isn't. And the reason why is because Tom Williams stood on stage. I saw him at a conference about a year and a half ago, and he said, every market will have 2 fast broadband providers. And doggone it, he was right. I talked to CEOs. There are very few markets left that don't have at least 2 broadband providers. In some markets, it's 2, it's 3, it's 4, it's 5, it's 6. And if everybody in that market is using speed, what's going to happen? Price war, commoditization. And if you don't believe me, look at the 5G markets. We've all heard the BS that came out of 5G 5 and 10 years ago, right? We saw the fancy PowerPoints that came out of Ericsson and Nokia. Oh, 5G, it's not just a pipe. It's going to do everything. It's going to help education and blah, blah, blah. And then what happened? 5G was just a dumb pipe. 5G is nothing but speed. And what happens in a commodity? Go look up the pricing in mobile. 25 bucks all in, no differentiation at all. They are the epitome of a dumb pipe. You cannot be that. And if you don't believe that speed is not a long-term winning strategy, last year I put up a slide and we did a survey of 100 fiber broadband providers who provide multiple tiers. And if speed was everything and it's the winning strategy, why are only 17% of people at a gig or higher? Why? Now, I got accosted afterwards, and someone said, wait, I'm at 40%. And I said, show me your price. Show me your price. Because that 40% is about price. And so, survey says, oh, and by the way, if you don't know, Jerry D actually hosts Family Feud Canada. And I'm going to get that clip, Jerry, of him dancing. So, but he hosts Family Feud Canada, and survey says 1 year later, 19%. Oh my gosh, what a shift. Speed is not a long-term winning strategy. Now, what's really interesting is you've seen some tier changes here, but let's be honest, the tier changes are probably because you're eliminating some lower bands, you put some pricing in place. That's what it's about. Speed is great as a starting strategy. Speed doesn't win because consumers do not understand speed. What they do understand is experience. They understand when you serve them well. They understand when you care about their kids. They understand when they go to the football field and they see your logo right beside the kids playing football. That's what they understand. And that's why so many of you are winning, because you're deep in your communities and you're building out this strategy to serve everybody. And look, fiber's not enough. Fiber is not enough. And a passing is not a connection. You can pass all the homes on the planet, but if you're not connecting them, it doesn't matter. That's a total addressable market statement. That's not winning. What matters is how many you connect. And on this stage today, you are going to hear from customers who are achieving 60% or higher market share regularly. One of them was telling me his market share in one of his markets is 85%. And he's up against a fast broadband provider. What matters is how many homes connected and what is your share. And to achieve that, you need a strategy to win all subscribers. You have to be across the entire community. And that's why we built this platform. The way that you had to do this in the past is you had to take every single market segment and buy a whole bunch of different technologies, cobble it all together, try to make it work with your billing systems, hire different people, different call centers, on, and try and make it scale. And in that scenario, the big guys win. You're dead. You do not have the scale to take them on head-to-head. But in a situation where you have a software platform that extends the capabilities of your existing field techs, the capabilities of your existing call center, you can win. And in fact, you can win because your margins are going to be way, way higher, and you're going to be faster. Every 91 days, you're going to take a step higher. And if you want to understand the power of a platform, I'm going to use an analogy. Now, as you'll notice, there's 3 trucks up here. There's a Ram, a Ford, and a Chevy, because I don't want to be tackled in the hallway and have someone say to me, "You're a Ford bigot. Why is that? I'm a Chevy guy." And for the record, my father was a Ram guy. That's what he drove his entire life. So I have no preference one way or the other. But when you look at these trucks, and this was a customer who came up with this, it's a great analogy. When you look at these trucks, it was David, right, David? It was David Goodspeed came up with this. And he said this to me at a conference, or at a leadership advisory board. And he said, "Is this truck a consumer truck or a business truck? Consumer or business?" It's a platform. It's a consumer truck based upon putting a camper on it, what you put on top of it. It's a business truck if you put a toolbox on it. And if you've read Alan Mullaley's book on the turnaround of Ford, he left Boeing and came to Ford. And Ford was about to go bankrupt. They were about to be done. This institution of manufacturing worldwide was about to fail. And the family brought him in to turn around Ford. And if you read that book, I highly encourage you to read it. It's a great read called American Made. And I've met him, the humblest man, just an incredible leader. If you actually talk to him about how he turned that around, it's because he built a platform. Ford was building all these different products as opposed to putting in a single platform that allowed them to do small customizations to scale the company at high profits by using the same common components. And basically, he saved Ford by putting a platform in place. So when you look at these, when you look at the Gigaspires, what are they? Consumer or business? Same answer. They're both. They're consumer and business because they're part of a platform. And what determines what it's doing at any moment in time is the software that you're running on it. That's it. So as you look to expand in residential, what you're going to do is all of these systems are going to connect in, and you're going to put the little one in an apartment building, or you're going to put 3 of them to handle a larger house. You're going to go take this one, and you're going to go put it in Carl's mansion. He left. That joke was waiting for him all day. You're going to put that big round unit, which is an outdoor unit. It actually can go in the desert. It can go up in the Arctic. You're going to put that out by the pool. You're going to mix and match them, and you're going to put software on top of it to differentiate in your market. Bark, Arlo, Protect IQ, Experience IQ. And from a community side, all of these are fiber-fed small cells. Mobile operators don't care about your small community. They're not going to put a $400,000 unit, a $400,000 tower in your town to provide you 5G. The economics don't work. But when you have all of these millions of fiber-fed units that have incredibly powerful Wi-Fi, you turn on Smart Home or SmartTown, they all of a sudden become a managed network that you're running, and you can now provide access to folks. Imagine this, and I've had this story told to me in different ways many times. I'm an ambulance driver. Someone's dying, and I drive to the farm, and as I drive up to the farm, what happens? No service. Who's had that? All of rural America. But if I have SmartTown running on it, that farm actually has a ubiquitous Wi-Fi mesh running across it, and as that ambulance pops up, it authenticates into that fiber-fed small cell Gigaspire. That ambulance technician's phone connects securely into the back office, and they can save a life. That is actually about transformation. That's about how you differentiate by helping those first responders completely change. And by the way, if we all just save one life, that's good enough. But the good thing is you don't have to go buy a sick leave system and a whole bunch of other things and try to make it work. It just works with your embedded base, with what's available today. If you want to expand into every MDU, we're going to talk about that today. Are these MDU units? Again, same answer. It depends on what software you put on it. One's to cover the pool, one's to put an apartment building, common areas, all those kind of things. This is the ultimate flexibility for you to serve all the use cases of all your customers, whether you're in a duplex or in a 1,000-person high-rise. You're going to hear about that today. And last, business. This is the big one, because there's a lot of bigotry on this topic. Everyone thinks, oh, I got to have a dedicated business unit. No, you don't. That's nonsense. Actually, all of these units are rugged. They have all kinds of different capabilities, and you're going to basically have the ultimate choice, because all you do is you take the same stuff you're putting into consumer, put different software on it, and then based on use case, you just plug in the different unit. If I'm a small bakery, that's all I need, a little U4. If I'm a warehouse, I put SmartBiz on it, I put that beast, the U10 in it, and then what I do is I throw a couple outdoor or indoor units into the warehouse, and I've got it covered. You can connect it for pennies on the dollar thanks to the software. This is where we're going as a community. That is the definition of platform innovation and what you're teaching us to do. All of those ideas, SmartTown, SmartBiz, where we're going with MDU, comes from you. And I can't thank you enough for giving us a vision on what we can do, and now we're doing it. And so for you, as you think through the next few speakers, think hard about how you can take giant steps higher and expand across your community, because in the end, if you want to beat those giants, that's what you have to do. Be everything to everyone. And I can think of no better way to talk about these topics, about how we go across the community, than to invite customers up who are doing it every single day and innovating at a fast pace. And the first up, I'd like to welcome Darren Farnan, the GM and COO of United Fiber. Come on up, Darren.